day. I'm Esther Davis. You know what? I hope you are just getting ready for a Happy New Year. Happy New Year now and Happy New Year at whatever time you're watching us. But I wanted to kick off our new year with a story that I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm going to read to you, hopefully we can get this done also this year, where I'll start reading my columns to those people that cannot log on, those people that don't get the papers. This is a very important program that we're working on. And actually we entitled it, The Face of Voter Suppression. The Face of Voter Suppression. I wrote the article back in October because I talked to this young lady, and we've all heard about her now. Actually, all you have to do is Google her name. Just Google Crystal Mason. But let me read the article. Okay? And I actually started it with a series of questions. So it says, how can you be charged with illegally voting when you did not vote? Further, how can you be incarcerated for making a mistake casting a vote? What is a provisional ballot? Does a provisional ballot constitute a vote? How did the term intentionally voted illegally become the elephant in the room in the case of Crystal Mason? Now, this is back in October that I wrote the article. We're taping this show the end of December for you in January and February and the rest of 2021. But these are questions that most of the people will ask about someone who attempted to vote, did not vote, but they're charged with illegally voting. I am part of the international outrage surrounding the case of Crystal Mason, the 45-year-old African-American mother who did not know, as a convicted felon in Texas, she could not vote until the supervised release was complete. Ms. Mason is now the face of recognized voter suppression in America. Now, I need to put a pin right here because she's also a charged felon. Served her time with honor, went back to school, got a degree, did all of the things in federal prison that she was supposed to do. Ms. Mason is now the face of recognized voter suppression in America, and especially in Texas. Texas is a voter suppression state. We all know that. As a native Texan, talking about myself, as a native Texan from a small southern Texas town, I have known this label since I was a child. I spoke to Ms. Mason last week. She believes in the power of the vote and is speaking out to others in Texas communities and beyond to exercise your power to vote. Now, again, let's put a pin there because we just went through an arduously difficult voting period. And voting comes up every year somewhere in America. Definitely every 2 years and definitely every 4 years. So the power of vote is always, the power to vote is always a subject that should be on our minds. Now, even though, where am I? But you can vote for her. Now, here's how you can vote for her. Ms. Mason is a business owner and has appealed to Governor Abbott for a pardon. That didn't work because our governor is not listening to her. If you're listening to us, let's say in March of 2025, you can log on and catch up with the status of Crystal Mason. That's what we're talking about. After our conversation and while arranging my notes, I could not get past the timeline that we had discussed. One of my questions was, give me an idea of your day on the day that you attempted to vote. Okay, now stay with me. I don't want to lose you. Ms. Mason was really articulate in her deliberate answer to this question. Ms. Mason is a mother of 3, a grandmother, and she has the care of 3 additional children. She was fully acquainted with a routine. Everybody has a routine. If you're working, your routine sort of goes like this. You have a schedule, you have chores, and mothers with 3 children are always multitasking. So this is all part of Miss Mason's day, on the day that she went to vote. I read this somewhere, I read this someplace. When we examine the opinion of men, we find that nothing is more uncommon than common sense. Some like judgment to plain truth. Some of us don't respond to the plain truth. And some of us don't respond to rejects. Miss Mason started answering my questions with a blessing to be working at this time. Her day started at 5 a.m. By 7 p.m., she says, I'm at work. I get off from work at 4:30, and the dialogue continued. This is my conversation with her the first time I spoke with her on the phone. I got the sense in talking to her that she views voting as the duty of all responsible Americans in our amazing new world. As a convicted felon, she had completed the requirements and all conditions of her crime, and even took advantage of her time that she was in prison to study, go back to school. She now, today, faces the charge of intent to vote illegally. Intent to vote illegally, when she was never told about the many arteries designed to suppress your vote, nor was the vote counted. I'm going to repeat that one. She went to vote. She did not get a chance to vote. The vote was not counted, but she still is up for her freedom, giving it up again because of this ridiculous thing I just mentioned. That is the bottom line. The case was insufficient, and she was again arrested. Lawmakers, lobbyists, and the legal world forget the many tasks related to those American households that make less than $100,000 a year. There are the homes, the neighborhoods. There are some homes, there are some neighborhoods that don't have chauffeurs, we don't have assistants, we don't have somebody to drop off our kids, we don't have anybody to go to the grocery store, we have this litany of things that we don't have. And the rest of the world does. So, she has all of these things to do after work on the day that I am talking about. This is the first time I talked to her on the phone. So she explains this day at the end of her 5:30, you've only got 2 hours to get to the poll to vote. So she goes to vote, and they wouldn't let her vote because her name wasn't on the list. Now I need to mention something very important here, because she and I talked for about maybe an hour. And one of the things I finally thought, where do you live? Well, I live in Yearend, Texas. I didn't know where Yearend is. Yearend, Texas is. I'm a native Texan. I looked it up. It is on the map, right outside of Fort Worth. But let's go back to what my message is today. At the end of her day, she goes to vote. She has until an hour, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. to 7 a.m., because the polls close at 7. She didn't even think about the provisional ballot. Her name was not on the list. Her name was not on the list. It was a series of mistakes. The mistake is caused, in my opinion, by an incompetent, overwhelmed system that repeatedly goes unattended. We've had these things that happen before. We've had them go to the inch degree, and we have not done anything about it. But it's insane. It's insane to think that this lady, Crystal Mason, may spend some more time away from her children in prison for attempting to vote. Finally, the last paragraph of the article, of my article, is, as a veteran writer for decades, I've interviewed numerous convicted felons in and out of the state of Texas. Some of them are now contributing members to society. We have in our society non-felons in C-suites with antiquated voter registration practices unscrupulous mindsets and the desire to add more to the faces of voter suppression. We want to join Crystal Mason in her quest for a pardon from the Texas governor and for your vote as quickly as possible. Now, let me bring you up to date. The governor of Texas has ignored her request. We're still fighting for it because we are working with the ACLU. We're working with people outside the state of Texas, in the New York area, and she does have attorneys. But what we basically need you to do is show your support, because we have other felons that are trying to vote, and we want them to vote. So that's my case with Crystal Mason. I introduced her to several other people in the field. We're asking you to join us online, and we'll put all of that on the screen for you. I'm Esther Davis with the Esther Davis Show. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to introduce a birthday boy, Dr. Fred Jones. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Top of the day to you. We're starting a whole new segment for 2021. We want you to join us this entire year. Please let us do a review for you. And this is the Year in Review. Please welcome Dr. Fred Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you very much. Greetings everybody. Happy New Year to you, and to me, happy birthday. My 64th birthday. That means that I have been with Esther since I was about 35. You do the math to see how long we've been together. So today we're going to do something that we did a long time ago, but we're going to do something a little different. This has been a very, very dramatic and tough year. So what we're going to do is what we like to call just a year in review of my people. Dr. Fred A. Jones here, 2020. Now there's an old joke that was going around on Facebook about MD 2020, which was Mad Dog 2020, which is now coming in a variety of flavors. Those of you who are out there kicking it, and some of you still are kicking it with the MD 2020, that about sums up what this year has been about. MD 2020 was something that hit you hard, but it had a very bad taste to it, okay? It did the job. It was cheap, inexpensive, and it messed over a lot of people's lives. MD 2020. So that's what we're going to entitle this. This is Mad Dog 2020 10.0 though. So let's start at the beginning. First of all, as you see, I have about 8 of these, because as you know, I'm into fashion. So I figure if you have to wear this, you might as well be in style. So when I get masks, I make sure they flow with whatever I'm wearing. Okay, so then it becomes an accessory. So let's just get right to that point. First of all, this, people, is simply an accessory. It makes you look better, it keeps you healthy, and it keeps those around you healthy. All right, let's start with that. But what I want to kick back to is January 2020, or actually New Year's Eve to be exact. We're over some friend's house that we normally go by every year. They live here in Dallas, downtown Dallas, in the Design District. We always kick it every year because my birthday, which is today, and I am 64, falls between, of course you know, New Year's Eve and my birthday. So we kind of celebrate both. So we're at our friend's house like we normally do every year. My wife always does a spectacular job, and my friend is spectacular as well. Anyway, we're just gathered. We're waiting. We're doing the countdown. We do the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and everybody goes, boom, Happy New Year. And we're like, whoa, it's Happy New Year, it's 2020. Can you believe it? Everybody's excited. This is a new decade. We're not even tripping on Donald Trump. We are just enjoying the moment that it is 2020. Then, it's Super Bowl. So we're going through January. But meanwhile, if you recall, we're starting to hear some rumors or some ripplings in the air about some type of mysterious virus that's causing some problems, but nobody's really talking about it. And we certainly aren't imbibed, in tune to it. We're just rolling and doing our thing because that's what we do every year. We do our thing, which becomes this synopsis of why this year has been so destructive, because we were used to doing our thing. Now, as we're doing our thing, going through January, counting down for Super Bowl parties, we're jamming, everybody is mingling in together, we're drinking, we're doing all the things that we normally do, not knowing that in the midst of us, somebody was a carrier, and we didn't even know. We're just doing our thing, then a couple of days later, some of us start to feel a little ill, and we're not sure why. So what do we say? We say it's a cold, it's the flu, it's the normal thing that happens, the cold or flu. Not knowing that the people amongst us, the people at our church, the people in the stadiums, the people in our homes, the people at parties, everywhere that we're at, bars and restaurants, everywhere, grocery stores, somebody in there is a carrier and passing along this unique virus that is just going along for the ride, saying this is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. All I got to do is go from person to person, and nobody even knows I am there. That's what life is all about too. We do our thing, we go about our daily routines, this and that, hither and thither, and we don't even know why, we just do it. But that thing is always there. This time the thing manifested itself into something that's become destructive. So we're at the Super Bowl and we're partying. People are going to New Orleans and they're tripping, but people are coming back from New Orleans, and now we're beginning to hear these rumors about people that went to the Super Bowl and have been partying are now starting to get sick. And we're still doing our thing because that's what we do. We had a president that was into doing his thing. And he said it was going to be fine, no problem. As a matter of fact, we've had 15 cases, and by next week we'll be down to 1. So now, I'm starting to get a little leery. I'm starting to feel something a little different because I have relatives that are in the medical field, and they're starting to put this bug in my wife and I's ear about what's coming down the pipe, but we're still not sure. We're still doing our thing. We're still going to the places we go to. We're still hanging out with the people we hang out with. We're still doing online dating services with strangers. We're still going to the bars and looking at that honey over there, or she's looking at this dude over there thinking, man, what's that about? Not knowing that they could be a carrier because nobody said anything. All of a sudden, I'm an independent contractor. My job comes from working in schools. I'm rolling, I'm doing all this thing, and all of a sudden, my rug gets pulled out from under me because now this virus comes through, and now they do what they call shut down. Schools are infected. There are no schools, no teachers. We got to close the schools. Now, you're starting to mess with people's money. Because now people's lives are being affected because this thing has now manifested itself and has revealed itself. That's always been there. It has always been there. Okay? You have roaches. You don't know you got them until you do something, and all of a sudden you turn on the lights and, well, I didn't know I had. Yeah, the roaches have always been there. The lights come on, and that's when they are discovered. So our lights were turned on, except for one thing. We don't know how to shift gears. We don't know how to shift down. We didn't know how to do that. we were still rebellious, we were still fighting, and we were still fighting with another virus that I used to call the Trump virus. I've been calling Trump a virus for a long time because that's what he is. All right, viruses infect people, but the infected host never knows that it's infected. That's why the host of a virus is able to go out and do his thing, and that's why viruses love certain hosts. So we got the coronavirus, COVID-19, and we got the Trump virus. And then we have the virus of our hearts, the virus of our minds, the virus of us not wanting to, how can I put it, capitulate to a certain situation that requires us to humble ourselves just a little bit. Then we're dealing with, to add on to it, something that happened to a black man who was brutally murdered by the police. Now, for those of us that know what's going on, that was nothing new. We've seen this scenario over and over and over again for decades. But for some reason, because of this virus slowing people down, people took notice. People took notice. Not just regular people. White folks. White America had to take notice of what we've been telling y'all for all these years. Get your foot off our neck. Stop killing us. Stop shooting us. Stop arresting us. Stop being Karens all over the place when we're just minding our own business. Stop asking us why are we in this neighborhood when we live there. Stop asking us why are we driving this particular car when we earned the right to do it. And why trip on us when we only 13% of the population anyway. So this virus is going on, it's desecrating us more so because we're only 13% of the population, and it's destroying our elderly, who are our best people, who do the voting, who make sure the families stay strong and healthy, and this virus is taking them out. All because we want to do our thing. It's taking out the Latinos, it's taking out the elderly, and everybody still wants to do their thing. Nobody wants to wear the mask of Zorro. All right? Yeah, Batman wore a mask. Zorro wears a mask. Superheroes wear masks. Why do they wear masks? To cover their identity. Why do we wear masks? To protect our identity against the virus. So we're continuing this flow. We're continuing to go. Our world has been turned upside down. We're now starting to pay attention to those people in the grocery stores that go in there at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and stock up the groceries for you. We're starting to pay attention to the fact that your toilet paper that you waste and use and throw around is now a valuable commodity. We now start to appreciate those meat packers who have to bunch in together to cut those prime, A, choice, select meats that we love to imbibe and waste because we only eat half of it. We start to recognize the homeless. We start to recognize that people who normally never needed any assistance need some help. That's a humbling factor. Yet we still continue. Yet the madness still continue politically. Yet the madness still continue because black lives began to matter. Just like all lives are supposed to matter, we get that. But as we're talking about black lives, because for a long time they haven't mattered and they still don't matter. So let's get right back down to that. But I won't. I'll digress to another time. COVID-19, folks, has pulled the rug out from everybody globally. It ain't something you want to play with. Now, in my year 64, I've had to make some significant adjustments that I find really weren't that bad. Because right now, people, tell you the truth, I don't want to be around a whole bunch of y'all. I just don't. I'm not going to the bars, because I imagine, I'm thinking back all the times we was in those bars and clubs and we doing all of this, and people breathing on you drink, breathing on your food. You're like, what? And then I'm watching the cooking shows. I'm like, dang, they don't have any gloves and they're mixing the meat. Oh man, and they're sweating over the food. I'm tripping on everything now because I'm paying attention. This virus has got me paying attention. In my 64 years, I didn't think I had to pay attention. I thought I was paying attention. I thought I knew everything. Now I find I don't know nothing. But what I do know is this. Going into 2021, I want all of y'all that have been tripping on Donald Trump to let that go. Let him go. I only mention him just because I'm doing a year in review. If I could go out and not mention his name, I won't. I want everybody that has been tripping on what's been going on, tripping about the stimulus, tripping about Congress, tripping about this and that. First of all, vote. So if you didn't vote, you can't trip. Next, get involved. If you're not involved, you can't trip. And if you are involved, you know that it doesn't matter, because your involvement is what changes things. What has happened is, or what happened was, and what is going to happen is, people are now awake. People are awake. They realize that what they used to do ain't cutting it no more. They realize that with all your money, all your fame, all your power, this virus will knock you out. So I want to say I apologize to those that I may have offended and hurt because I didn't take this serious. I want to give my heartfelt sorrow to those who have lost people to this virus. I just lost a buddy of mine, a cigar friend. Got the information last Tuesday. Deborah asked me, what's wrong with you? Why? I said, because it made me cry. Because I know this brother. I see this brother. He was a good man. And in his Facebook post, he said, I don't want to die. That's in his post. And then he's in ICU. And then his daughter is keeping us abreast. And then I look on my Facebook and it says, I lost a dear friend of mine from the cigar world, and I knew immediately who it was. And he's only one of thousands. So going to 2021, my mind is pretty renewed. I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty chill right now. I actually really am. I'm going to do a cigar later on because it's my birthday. And me a nice shot of some kind of good bourbon because it's my birthday. And I'm going to chill. I'm going to chill the rest of the year. And I'm going to start chilling more and more because I'm not going to get involved with the politics. Ooh, I want to say bull by it, but I can't. I know they're going to cut it, but I just had to get it out. It's kind of like gas. You know, when you got that gas bubble in your stomach, you know, nothing works till you get away from people and you go, ooh, you be like, ah, yes. And then you go back. But you know what? Even that's a carrier because you bring it back with you. So you are a carrier of funk. Ooh, I just went off. Sorry about that. My bad. My bad. They warned me about that. But y'all, they'll fix it. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I'm not going to get involved in it. I'm not going to allow myself to be part of it anymore. I'm going to try to live my life as best as I possibly can, wearing my mask to the end of the year because this thing ain't going away. So don't even think it's going away. We're going to get the vaccine, and I'm going to take the vaccine. I'm going to take the vaccine. Because you have to trust science. You have to trust the doctors. You have to trust these people who have invested their lives into studying germs and viruses and how to cure it. You have a lot of people who are dedicated to that fact. And I'm going to trust those people. It's my year in review, y'all. That's all I got to say. Cigar time. Wear your mask. I'm out.